Driver review time, and it's Mizuno. We've got two new models to look at in this particular video. Going to run through the tech, hit them, test them, TrackMan numbers as always, and we've got some industry new technology that Mizuno have brought that hopefully is going to get them to compete massively with those big boys in this fierce driver category. Let's check them out. Okay, so new drivers from Mizuno, and the name is the JPX1. So we've got two models. We've got the JPX1 and we've got the JPX1 Select. Two different types of heads aimed at two different types of golfers. Now, when we look at Mizuno as a brand, obviously they're massive renowned for the high qualityness of their iron lineup. Drivers have been very good, but just haven't maybe quite broken into that big percentage of sales in terms of that driver category against your big boys. You know, your TaylorMade, your Callaways are very strong in that category. Having said that, I would feel like the Mizuno drivers over the years have got much better, and this looks incredible. First instincts on the looks, and they have made good looking drivers in the past. This is no exception. These both look really nice in that playing position. So the JPX1 is the slightly larger footprint down by that golf ball, a little bit more weight in that back section, a little bit more forgiving, more confident, inspiring head behind that golf ball for somebody who's wanting a little bit more forgiveness. And then we've got the JPX1 Select, a little bit more compact, maybe for that faster swing speed player who likes to sort of see a more compact look behind that golf ball, maybe a little bit more low spin and a little bit more of a lower launch. So we're going to start off with the JPX1. So this is the slightly larger footprint of the two models, so a little bit longer from that front to the back. Now this is filmed quite early, so I've only got a 10.5 head in this particular model. I have got a 9 in the Select, so obviously we're going to come to. So I'm going to use the neck sleeve that Mizuno have to knock the loft back down to 9.5, which is more closer to what I would sort of play in terms of a loft. Now, looking at the bottom of the driver, initial sort of looks, it's very clean. It's got a little bit of a Titleist look to the bottom of that sole, which isn't a bad thing by any means, but with very clean sort of look. We've got this weight in the back of the driver here, which obviously is going to pull that CG a little bit more sort of back, helps for that MOI, that moment of inertia, and miss hits in terms of trying to create stability for accuracy as well as keeping up ball speed. Just want to butt in there and ask for your help. If you're enjoying the videos I'm putting out there and you haven't subscribed, please consider just hitting that subscribe button. Helps me massively with YouTube, trying to hit that 100,000 subscriber mark. I'd love to get there with your help. Let's jump back to the video. We turn the club over into the, look from the top into the crown position. And again, we've got this gloss finish, a very deep blue, near to a black sort of finish, and a tiny hint of that carbon just showing through in the back section of that crown. It looks really nice. We've got the JPX logo in on the top, very subtle, that just indicates the center of the club face. And apart from that, it's a very clean sort of look. Now, as we move it into the club face, this is where things look very different. First impressions, when you look at this, you're going to think we've got a carbon face involved. We haven't. It's still a titanium face, Cortex face. It's got a little bit thinner, so again, flexing ball speed, but we've got this nano technology. Now, Mizuno are a massive brand. They're in a lot of different sports, and they use this nano technology in other sports. So they've now teamed together, and they've brought it into the golf for the first time, into this driver face, which is a very sort of stunning blue face, which makes a lot of sense. You know, it's that Mizuno color, isn't it? And I think it looks really cool, actually, in that blue look. So let's put it into that playing position. We'll talk a little bit about the face, a little bit more detail in a minute as we hit a few shots. But let's look at instincts into that playing position. And again, this is the JPX1, so the slightly larger footprint. It's not huge, but it's a nice size. It's confident spine, sits incredibly square. Love the way that sort of sits. Glossy top. If you like gloss, then you're going to love this. Subtle blue face. It doesn't jump out at you, but you can definitely just draws your eye a little bit more to that club face with that blue nano face. Well, that's a good solid hit. Very much that carbon sort of sound to that solid feel off that club face. Quite a nice sort of straight ball flight there. Okay, so we can sort of see club speed 110, ball speed 161, launch around that 12 mark, 2.2 spin, so nice low spin number, good smash at 147 and running out just short of that 300-yard mark. Okay, so let's have a look at this Nanoy technology that Mizuno are introducing. It's a huge talking point for them, and it's all about ball speed. Keeping it fast off the face is really the sort of highlight of this particular driver. So Nanoy is basically a microscopic polymer that is coated onto the top of the driver face. It's quite an elastic material, but as soon as contact is made, i.e. with the golf ball, it stiffens to a really solid construction. So basically that allows them to put energy back into that golf ball across the club face, which is allowing to increase ball speed. They're saying this is the fastest face they've ever produced. And that works nicely in with the new modernized Cortex face. We have seen that before, but it's now 0.35 millimeters thinner than what we've seen in previous, and it's actually increased a little bit. So the rebound section of the club face is now 15% larger than we've seen in previous models. So all about ball speed is definitely the theme with this drivers. Oh, right, just test a little bit, forgive me, that's a little bit high on the club face. That's just popped up a little bit higher on its launch, but looks to be done quite nicely. The spin's still quite controlled there. So as I mentioned, we've got this sort of weight at the back of the driver. This will be for sort of fine tuning and swing weight purposes. We've got obviously the neck sleeve that we've seen in previous Mizuno models, so we can move that loft up and down by up to 2 degrees, as well as some upright lie settings also. So you can really sort of dial that into your desired loft and lie. But it does look great behind that golf ball, sits really good. It's a good looking driver I've seen. A little bit toe. Wasn't the best of strikes, but it feels very solid off the face. There's not a lot of twist in the head there from that missed strike. And quite accurate as well, and just controlling that spin at 2-4, which is nice, and getting a decent bit of carry from a slight high toe strike. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the shaft length, because in previous models a few generations ago, Mizuno very much sat at that 45-inch sort of mark. I think they maybe got up to 45 at some point, but they sat back at that 45. It's all about control and accuracy. Now, obviously, shorter shaft is going to typically create less club head speed, maybe less distance. So they've now, obviously, with the talk about distance on ball speed off the club face, it makes sense they've now increased that shaft length. So we're now up to 45.75 as standard. So it's quite long as a standard length. It's very much in line with a lot of the other brands, to be honest. And obviously, through custom fit, you can change that and have that at your desired playing length. That's a good solid hit. Just a bit up the left from me. Good sound to that though. Maybe a little bit louder, maybe just in the studio, just echoes a tiny bit. But we can maybe see that spin seems to be very consistent, sat around that 2,500 mark. Good ball speed there, 163, and edging out to that 295. Okay, so we'll hit one more with the JPX1, and then we'll move into the Select, the slightly more compact head. Okay, right, there's my miss. This will be an interesting one. That was a little bit low, little bit in that heel. The flight didn't look like it was trying to climb on me, so that spin will be interesting, and yes, there we go. What a controller spin. So 2688 from a slight low heel. I'd expect that to go up into the 3000, so great controller spin on the miss hits, and you can see the ball speed still at 163 on a miss strike, and that's got 294. So that's quite impressive from what is quite a weak part of the club face to strike it. Right, okay, so let's move on to the JPX1 Select. So as we mentioned before, a bit more of a compact sort of head. It's still a 460cc, but more now squashed up. So the front face to the back of the driver is a little bit more squat, a little bit, tiny bit deeper on the club face. So just sitting that next to the JPX1 standard one is a considerable difference in the footprint size. So both are 460cc, but just shaped in a little bit of a different way. So definitely more compact looked. So as I mentioned before, if you do like that more compact shape down by that golf ball, you're gonna really like this. Maybe a little bit shorter heel to toe potentially, but the look is exactly the same. The technology is exactly the same. We're still seeing that nano alloy technology on that club face. This is now a 9-degree loft, which is a bit more of my loft that I would sort of use. I've got it set at 9 degree in the neck sleeve. We've still got the weight in the back for, again, for fitting and swing weight purposes, but beautiful look down by that golf ball. Okay, so there's a little bit off a toe strike. Now I can just see that dip up the left a little bit, a bit of gear effect, and then we can see that spin just really drops off. So typically we're going to see the JPX1 Select as a little bit more of a low spin type of driver, but then you've also got to look at where you miss that strike. We know if we hit it a little bit high and a little bit toe, it's going to take spin away just through gear effect. So if you've got a low spin driver and then you take that spin away, they're the ones you might just get where it just dips out of the sky a little bit quick on you. So really important when you go into that fitting session just to understand and measure your strike and your tendencies, because that can make a difference of which head you might well go into. and that was a better strike. That is a better flight. That is a better golf shot. Beautiful flight on that. That spin will be different there. Actually, it's not that much higher there. Really good straight shot. I got a better launch on that, but still 1600 on the spin. So that is quite low spin there. Little bit heel, but that is down that middle of the fairway. Nice and stable on that slight miss hit. Yeah, I'm not doing bad from that slightly heel strike there. Touch of drop off on ball speed. You're going to expect a little bit of drop off, aren't we? But that's done very well for slight miss. So I think, you know, what I'm sort of seeing here with these two drivers is definitely with the JPX1, as well as a little bit of that Select there, just missing that middle. Some ball speed's pretty good on the retention. Retaining that ball speed on those misses, it seems to be doing quite nicely. Stability-wise, seems to be really holding its flight. So forgiveness levels are great in both of these drivers. Oh, that's a solid hit. Just leaking up that right a little bit. Felt really good off the club face. Great feel off that. Little bit of a firmer feel, but it's still pretty good. So not too bad a shot there, a little bit leaky up the right, but again, that spin, even with that slightly open face there, you can see 2-2 spin, it's in that lower area. So as I mentioned, all the technology is exactly the same as we see in the other driver. Now, availability-wise, in the Select head, we've got a 9 and a 10.5 only. And for you left-handers, it's just a 9-degree option available. One more shot, and then we'll just check a couple of numbers out. That's a nice flight. Good one to finish up on. Okay, so for me, Mizuno, that is a good driver. That's a great looking driver in my opinion. It's a good feel, very solid feel, quite a hardish feel maybe I would sort of gravitate towards off the club face. The numbers are really good. Quite impressed with the consistency of the spin in the the JPX1, the standard one there. Quite a nice controlled spin as well. Definitely a little bit more low spin in the Select, so it's doing a good job for the golfer who's maybe a bit in that high spin category and he's trying to pull that spin down. Two great drivers. Post comments down below, let me know. And if you want to see me put this up against the other big launches for 2026, just fire them in the comments below and I'll do my best to do those videos for you. Appreciate you watching the video as always. Hopefully catch you all very soon.